Hello. Welcome to this week's moon draw. We are at the first quarter moon, Sagittarius, 10 degrees, 54 minutes. It's August 31st, 2025, and this is Co-Creating with Cosmic Holly. I am Holly. So today is the quarter moon, first quarter in Sagittarius, which means that the moon and the sun are squaring one another. Last week, we talked about the new moon in Virgo and we talked about setting intentions. And when we set intentions during the new moon, we just put out there what it is that we are wanting to work with the universe on. And then we kind of we let it go. And now when we get to the quarter moon, we sort of start to see what little seedlings are coming up. So um, we set the seeds during the new moon. We don't really know what's going to happen, but now we're starting to see some growth. And here we come to a choice point. Sometimes the growth we start to feel a little tension. We feel some tension between the old and the new. We're at this, the moon, we call it a quarter moon, but when we look at the moon, it looks like it's a half moon. So there's old and new. What are we're at a choice point now. We need to decide what it is we're going to keep focusing on in order to nurture those intentions we made, and we're going to weed out the things that we don't want. So I'm using a garden metaphor. We planted seeds last week. We're starting to see some sprouts. Other things are sprouting too that we might not want. We want to start pulling out the things that we don't want. We're starting to feel a little bit of tension, like I want this thing to happen now. And I don't want this old thing anymore. There's some of that. I've been feeling a lot of that lately. Maybe I'm feeling the Sagittarius moon, especially because I have Sagittarius rising. And as a matter of fact, 10 degrees Sagittarius is where my rising sign starts. So this feels like a particularly like hokey moon for me. So this is a time where our intentions start to get tested. It's like, do you really want to do that thing? Because if you do, this is something you're going to have to let go of. This is something you're going to have to remove in order to let this other thing grow. Or you're going to have to really expand into the not knowing. And we really are in a big not knowing period. I'll get into that. Right now, I'm going to focus on the moon, but so this moon cycle really is making the decision, like what is it that you really want to do. Now, Sagittarius, the energy of Sagittarius wants more knowledge. Sagittarius wants a goal that gives its life meaning, right? That gives the or a mission that has a meaning, right? It's the archer. Um, I've actually never shot an arrow before, so I probably not don't have very good form, but um, nevertheless, we can imagine, really shooting for that goal. You set a goal. Sagittarius wants to do what it takes to reach that goal. It's the centaur. So there's this like wild energy as well as um, very like focused energy. Um, Sagittarius wants to raise the energy of the community by enriching the community's knowledge through storytelling, through learning, through travel, through like going out and exploring and coming back with a story, coming back with a, hey, look at this thing that I found. How does that fit into the how does that fit into the story of our community, the code of our community, the law of our community, and can we expand that? So there may be this feeling of really wanting to expand and just do it, right? Do it, get it, and move on kind of thing. But, um, you know, one day at a time. And also things are moving very quickly. It's like there are sudden things that are, that we're seeing that we might not have seen last week that are suddenly like, oh, this really changes my idea about things. So that's for the new moon cycle. That's a monthly cycle. We also have the lunar gestation cycle where we look at lunar families. So this Sagittarius lunar family is connected to the new moon from December 1st of 2024. So if you can remember what you were up to on December 1st, 2024, if you were already setting intentions, look back to see what your intentions were and see, because some of the intentions will have come to fruition. Some are going to become a longer arcing goal that takes 2.25 to 3 years to get to come to fruition. When I started doing moon magic back in the 90s, I really got excited about how I noticed that it took, when I put an intention out there and I kind of let it go, I noticed it took about 2 years for my intentions to come to fruition. And it wasn't until I learned about the gestation cycles where that made sense. Like, this lunar family cycle takes a bit longer. Um, so, so if you can look back to what you were doing 9 months ago, December 1st, 2024, and see how these new intentions that you've set a week ago can shape this like larger arc. The new intentions are also shaping that arc. So it's pretty cool. It's this, you've got this bigger movement, this bigger dance happening, and then this like smaller movement that is creating a little more energy, a little more momentum to this larger cosmic dance. So that's what's going on with the moon. There's a lot going on cosmically with Uranus and Pluto and Saturn and Neptune. And I want to talk about that because I do feel like it's shaping the energy of what we're experiencing with these lunar phases. But if you're not interested in, kind of checking that out, I'm going to put the time in the, in the bottom of the video, underneath the video, and you can skip to the tarot reading. So the first thing I want to talk about, actually really pretty cool. Well, geez, maybe I'll talk about Jupiter first because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So like I was saying about Sagittarius wants to like make things grow. Well, that's what Jupiter does. Jupiter is the key words with Jupiter are growth, expansion, luck, it's expansion of possibility. Jupiter right now is in Cancer. It's at 17 degrees, 46 minutes Cancer, and there's a grand trine going on between Jupiter, Black Moon Lilith, which is a point in the sky. It's not an actual moon, and the North Node in Pisces, which is also a crossing point in the sky. Lilith is in Scorpio. The North Node is in Pisces. And we are actually going to have a Pisces lunar eclipse next week. So, and we're going to be in this Pisces Virgo eclipse cycle for the next like 18 months. That's usually how it goes, a year and a half or so. But right now, Jupiter is in Cancer, as I said. So there's this need to nurture. There's this real Jupiter is exalted in Cancer. So there's just this like real kind of mothering energy, right? We think when we think of Cancer, we think of mother. I also think, that Cancer is the energy of water. It's conductive. There's a lot of energy when it comes to manifestation. So there's this energy going on behind the scenes. When we have a trine, we can sit back and do nothing. There are a lot of trines going on. This is the first one I'm talking about because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So the trine with Black Moon Lilith and the North Node in Pisces, I really feel like is this nurturing the parts of ourselves that are suppressed or misunderstood or cast out. Lilith wasn't gonna like just sit back and let things happen to her. She left Eden. This is the story, right? She was Adam's first wife because she wanted to be on top. That's the easiest way to put it, right? And he was like, no. And she said, well, bye, and so there is a healing in reclaiming our power from the shadows. So she was cast out, she was exiled, right? So now there's this, Cancer is also I say it's the unseen because Cancer is like the private part of our lives. So where there's this underlying like strength building that's happening that has to do with the shadow part of ourselves. And there's a lot of shadow stuff going on. We've got Pluto but right now we're looking at really reclaiming the part of ourselves that have been exiled, that we feel are exiled. And Jupiter is going to put that energy in to nurture it. And then the North Node in Pisces is like our creative awareness, our imagination, compassion, and surrender. So there's this real sense of like the most private aspects of our reality are there's a chance for real growth there. We can sit back and do nothing, or we can really work with this energy. I love this. There's a quote by Caroline Casey that says, and this is for Jupiter, certain capacities are only engaged when we overreach. So if we can really look at intimacy and power and emotional transformation, this is like Lilith is really like opening that up right now, and just really go in and nurture it. And then Pisces is just like is able to sort of hold it all, can hold that expansion. Jupiter wants to expand and grow. Pisces is like no limits. So let's just and also the Jupiter is the original ruler of Pisces as well. So while we're working with this like exiled self, you can ask Jupiter to just say, open the path before me and grant the opportunity to be of maximum good in the world. when we are exiled, as children, especially as we become older, we don't need anyone else to exile us. We exile ourselves. This now is the time to claim that part of ourselves that's been exiled and allow it to be healing for the community. The energy of this trine between Jupiter, Black Moon Lilith, and the North Node is moving us in the direction of our soul's growth. That's what the North Node, that's partly what the North Node is about, with is like how, with the Pisces, right? How is my experience all encompassing, moving through my entire life? And also, it's combining with the collective. There's so much collective energy right now. So, allowing that very sensitive part of yourself, you're honoring the sensitivity that's uh, Black Moon Lilith and Scorpio is like, that's an HSP. That's a sense, that's really sensitive energy. That's really can also, you know, allowing yourself the space and the time to move slowly, but to do it with intention, and to claim that part of yourself so that you can move forward throughout your life in a new way. We are at the very beginning of this energy of the North Node being in Pisces. So we're going to be able to experience working with that North Node. We'll be working with it next week during the eclipse, but that it's going to get lit up and you're going to learn how to be in that Pisces energy. Pisces is very creative, very dreamy, very imaginative. There's a spiritual awareness and a creative imagination that is just part of what Pisces is. And really, on the collective, I feel is something that is very needed right now. So let Jupiter help you tell the story for yourself. What is the story of Lilith and the North Node for you? Imagine yourself a year in the future tell the story from your future self rather from the self that is like, I have no idea. Just make something up. It's about the imagination anyway. And if you can, Jupiter likes to laugh. So like let it have something funny. Let it be curious. Let it be like humorous. Tell a story that makes you laugh. That's how that's Jupiter's what's the Jupiter's power, Jupiter's special gift for healing is through storytelling. So telling your own story. All right. Okay, that's the first trine. The next trine is Uranus and Pluto. Uranus and Pluto are trining one another. And they're not exact, but they're like just like a few minutes from being exact. And there's going to be this push and pull between Uranus and Pluto over the next going into 2026. So we're going to be experiencing this almost, and then it happening, right? So I always write these notes down and then I'm like, I can't read it. Uranus is at 1 degree, 26 minutes Gemini, and it's sudden awakening, breakthroughs, uh, liberation, right? And I talked about this last week. Well, before I even get into this, let me talk a little bit more about Uranus. Like it's disrupting the status quo, right? Um, there's like a heading out beyond known limitations. Um, you're learning more, you're discovering more, you're becoming more inventive. When it trines with Pluto, that kind of breaking through and breaking down that energy is just happening. Pluto is deep psychological transformation. While it's in Aquarius, it's at 1 degree 47 minutes Aquarius. There's like a collective evolution going on. It's revolution. It's innovation. It's reimagining the future. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. We can sit back and let stuff happen. But chances are, especially with Uranus and Gemini, we're feeling a little bit like agitated. What's happening here? And where we're feeling that agitation, restlessness, we're kind of like on the brink of discovery. There's this feeling like that's where lightning is going to strike. Okay, Uranus is lightning strike, blowing, blowing things up, lightning strike energy. Rather than sitting back and letting the lightning strike where it will. I mean, lightning will strike where it will, right? But you can kind of, I mean, there are such things as lightning rods. So where you're putting your energy is like where maybe some lightning will strike. So the way to do that is experimenting. I talked about experimentation last week. So with Uranus being in Gemini, it's sincere experimentation with words, spell casting, magic. We're learning, we're getting into this idea that our words have power, that we are casting spells with our words. So play with words, really play with words. There's something that I found in Caroline Casey's book, Making the Gods Work for You. And she says this, say this to Uranus. Okay, actually, Oya. Now let us welcome Uranus and invoke Oya, the Santeria goddess who summons the winds of change by whirling her horsetail whip. By extending the following invitation to Oya out loud, we will experience her winds as warm and tropical rather than as hurricanes. Okay, so I know the change is coming, so might as well welcome it, right? Let the winds of change blow through my life, bringing the most radically enlivening thing that could possibly happen. I am hoisting my sail, allies. Wait, I'm hoisting my sails. Parasail me into the place where I can connect with my allies, and together we can do the most good. So we're moving into the unknown, and rather than feeling dread, we can feel pleasure. You know, Uranus is about being alive. Trining with Pluto, it's about transformation and rebirth. Pluto in Aquarius is transforming our our culture, our collective. So speaking about the change, letting it be about the collective, Uranus rules Aquarius and Pluto is in Aquarius. So there's a very strong dance going on right now with Uranus. At the same time, Uranus and Pluto are sextiling Saturn and Neptune in Aries. So Saturn is at 0 degrees 3 minutes Aries retrograde, and Neptune is at 1 degree 22 minutes retrograde. So they're not exactly conjunct anymore, but their energy together is still really strong. And Saturn, by tomorrow, is going to be back into Pisces. So Neptune in Aries is the mystical warrior. It wants a dream to build, and it's ideal-driven innovation. We work with Neptune by nurturing beauty, by meditating on the vastness of being, and by shifting our experience from busyness to being engaged. Neptune is magic. So the dream energy can come through, just like it's coming through with the North Node. It's starting to come through with Neptune. While I was in Pisces, it was really like a lot of dream energy, a lot of what in heck is going on, even us like not quite knowing what's going on. But we had this little taste of it being in Aries and it wanting to like become active in allowing the dream to be an adventure. Saturn wants to help to build the dream and wants to go, where am I responsible and what exactly is the dream? All Saturn needs to know is the what, and then can talk to Uranus right now because they're in sextile and say, okay, Uranus, I'm giving it to you, to the how, to work with the how. Same thing with Jupiter. Jupiter and Uranus can work on that, on the how. Saturn knows the what. Saturn is also aware of what their responsibility is. And so right now they might be, the Saturn energy might be noticing that you may have been taking on a lot of responsibility for others, especially while Saturn was in Pisces. And now it's in Aries, and it's like, what's my responsibility to myself? So if you're feeling that, you know, you have connected yourself to others and you have taken on the responsibility that is theirs, it's time to start cutting those cords. I mean, Aries is sharp objects. Aries will cut the cords. Now you're dipping back into Pisces to sort of get clarity on what it on some of those things, maybe that like, this tendril is not mine. This one is. This dream here. I'm going to be hanging out here with Neptune for a little bit again, and we're going to see, like, get a deeper, make sure that we didn't miss anything about what Pisces was trying to tell us. Then it's going to go back into Aries. But right now, there's a teeny tiny window where it's still able to talk to Uranus and Pluto and say, you know, I am responsible for myself. And by being responsible for myself, I am doing the best for the collective. And that's really great, when we can, you know, be certain of our own authority. So, what's our authority in the collective? What's our authority in the dream for the collective? So, this is the energy that's going on around this quarter moon. And finally, I want to say one more. There's one more like group of planets, couple of planets. We got Chiron and Mercury. Chiron is at 26 degrees Aries, and Mercury is at 26 degrees Leo. So they are also trining. Chiron is the wounded healer centaur god. And um, he teaches through vulnerability, teaches through pain, because he's the wounded healer, and he shows us how to he shows us how to embrace our pain and to learn from it. Also, on top of that, Chiron is another expression of Jupiter as a centaur god, and healing happens through theater and through storytelling. Now, with Chiron and Aries right now, there could be that there's a wounding where we could be feeling a wounding around childhood issues. Aries is the child self. And just this ache around the deservedness to actually even be here, to be alive, our self-worth, and our own personal agency, right? Right now, a lot of people's rights are being taken away, and it's painful. And then Mercury in Leo also wants to tell the story with heart and conviction. It's the voice for, Mercury in Leo wants to give voice to passionate possibilities in life. So there's this awakening for people. I was thinking about Chiron and Mercury, like Mercury kind of opening a voice up for Chiron. My Chiron is in Aries. Most people born in the 70s have Chiron in Aries. And so there's this sort of wounding about childhood. And I feel like right now there is a movie out that really, oh my God, sort of is this experience, and possibly even a theatrical experience of an aspect. It's not entirely that, but like an aspect of kind of the pain of being a child and not having your own agency, and just not having your own agency. And that is it's a movie called Weapons. That's a whole other that's something else completely, but like an incredible dramatic theatrical experience, really good storytelling. It's also a horror movie. I say more psychological horror than like, because I generally am not like a huge horror movie fan, but this is really probably one of the favorite movies I've ever seen in my life. Just the storytelling on its own. But there are a lot of layers, and I just felt like, wow, there's this, like, the central theme are these, there's a lot of themes, but one of them is children. And just a haunting movie. So, okay. Now, I'm going to pull that back to the moon in Sagittarius. right now, and we are looking at our um, intentions from last week or from 9 months ago, or both. I'd say both, just do both. What was going on? What did you not have clarity on that you're becoming clear with now? And sometimes it's just like, ooh, you're going to be inspired. Sometimes it's like something's really annoying you, nudging you um, to make a to state something, to make a statement, to take an action, to move forward with what it is that you would like to do. Like you might be at this point right now where you're like, yeah, you know what? It's my life and I'm ready to, take it to another level. Sagittarius always kind of wants to ramp things up. And all the other everything in the sky right now is pretty much pointed toward change. And I didn't even talk about Mars or Venus. This would be like turning into like a 3-hour video if I did that. But the planets that are like having energies with one another right now are really urging us to change, urging us to grow, urging us to take action. We could sit back and change is happening, but it's time right now for us to start really envisioning the world we want to see. And we have more power than we realize. And our personal desires, as well as the desires for the collective, are the nudgings, the stories we want to tell. They're cosmic nudges too. Let them be cosmic, let them be divine, let the new ideas that are percolating up, that's like, where does that come from? You know, uh, where does it come from? Where do ideas come from? It's time to act. Time to act. All right, let's see. Come on, come on. Usually something jumps out. So I'm shuffling here. See, I'm shuffling. Oh, one jumped out. And we got two going here. Oh, this is great. Okay. We have the Six of Wands and the Sun. I don't know if the Sun was upside down or right side up. Either way, the energy of it is great. I mean, one, that we have a major arcana, but the first card that jumped was the Six of Wands. And I just see this as like, it's fire. Sagittarius is a fire sign. One, this is just like one person. You have this one person who's like on a cloud, has followed through on their inspiration and is experiencing a degree of success, right? And now we have all this other inspiration happening. This reminds me of the Ace of Wands, when you see like the hand holding up the flame, and but here there's five of them, and there's one person. We see the person, and this person is smaller or the same size as the arms that are reaching out. But that one little person is lighting all these flames. This is, I mean, it's like following your desire, healing your healing your exiled self, moving into a new level of creativity and action and passion. This is what happens. Your little flame, which is really actually some divine guidance getting you to do something else, or just take some action, ignites fire for other people. And five is always like, you know, some change, it's transformation. Sometimes it's a little disruption. Um, but it's in a way where the inspiration is so exciting that despite the fact that following through, I mean, the thing is, following through on just about any idea we have is going to create change. And that's why people don't do it. That's why people don't write the song. That's why people don't do the painting. That's why people, don't run the marathon, don't go into the training, don't have to like change up their routine to make it happen. But when you take those steps, it can inspire others to also make a change. And then, yeah, it happens. And on top of that, change is happening anyway. I mean, the cosmos is like pointing that it's always happening. It's always happening. That's actually the only constant in life is change. So why not direct it? This is like this is like creative outcome and inspiring others. So exciting. And then we have the sun, which is like, which is joy, which is I am myself 100%. I'm not pretending to be anyone else. I'm not being dishonest. I'm not, trying to fit into something that is someone else's idea of who I should be. I've cut those cords. I am me, right? Or you are you. And now I get to experience real bliss because the people who enter my life now are real, or they actually love the person that I am, not the person I'm pretending to be. And when I'm completely myself, I can create, I can follow my passion, and knowing that at some point I get to experience bliss. In fact, when you are yourself, you do experience bliss. This is like the Chiron healing, right? Where it's like like when I say the wounding for being Aries is like not worthy to even be alive, right? It's like when you realize that you are lovable just because you're alive, just because you exist, and everyone gets to experience this or should experience this. The fact that there's like oppression and suppression going on in the world. So I wasn't sure if this was upside down, because it was sort of sideways. So like if we're looking at it this way, our birthright is to be who we are, no matter no matter who we are, no matter, where we live, where we happen to have been born, what color our skin is, uh, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, ultimately, ultimately. So even if we only get to tap into this for a few minutes a day, even if we only feel these things for a few minutes a day, we feel it because we are who we are, because we are our true selves. Um, but we get it. But right now, we are starting to deeply experiment with the world we want to experience. And that's a world that inspires others to be themselves and inspires others to be this. This is, the balancing of the yin and the yang as well, right? We attract people who are real to us when we are real, when we act on our desires. Okay, wow. Whew, sheesh. Yeah. So what's your dream? What's your dream for yourself? What's your dream for the collective? Let your dream, if your dream for yourself is bliss, then let your dream for the collective be bliss too. You're part of the collective. Yeah. All right. If you'd like to get a reading with me, go to hollytroy.com/tarot and you can book a reading with me. Thank you for being a part of this cosmic dance. Have a beautiful week and let me know how it goes, like what have you been intending? What is happening? How is the moon informing your actions? Have a beautiful week. Peace.